Yesterday, I fought a bobcat. I'm just kidding, guys. Welcome in to another maps video. I love maps. I love the way they explain different statistics. Today, I'm giving you guys 25 maps about sports in America, across the world, just interesting things I found, I took a screenshot of. Let's get right into it. Starting with the most generic high school mascot by state. And it looks like most states, the most generic is the Eagles. It's funny, the Patriots is one singular state, and I think it's Rhode Island. It's not even Massachusetts. It's Rhode Island. So that's the most generic mascot for that state. But as you can see, there's some Bulldogs. I'm kind of surprised Montana's is Bulldogs, but Georgia's is Eagles. I guess there's no correlation between the college teams and the high school teams, but many of them, you can see the Warriors, Hawaii, not surprising there, Tigers, Panthers, and then Raiders. Who's the Raiders? I can't even see who's his silver. I'm not sure they're even on there. I don't think they are on there. Largest stadium capacity in European countries. So this is the biggest stadium, and I just remembered something, and I thought this was so funny. You can see the scale on the left. 10,000, seats 10,000 people or fewer, 10K to 30K, 30K to 50K, 50K to 70K, 70K and up. And you can see some of the stadiums, they seat 99K, maybe 100,000. But I remember Germany during World War II, or like right before World War II, planning to build a stadium. This was in the 1930s. They planned to build an Olympic stadium in Nuremberg that sat 400,000 people. This was in the 1930s, ladies and gentlemen, like right before World War II, and then World War II happened, so they stopped production on their stadium. I think they only laid the ground. They didn't build any of the stands, but they did build a test site. I just thought it was funny how we're in the year 2021, or I think this was 2016 when it was done, but it's like the biggest stadium is 100K. And the Germans were planning to build one that seated 400K. In the 1930s. That's pretty crazy. Most popular spectator sports worldwide, so I'm sure many people interested in this. Not surprising at all for America. It is football. This is a very good representation of kind of the battle of football versus football. Soccer in other countries, which is called football, really just most popular across all of Africa, across basically all of Europe. What about Mongolia? Is that wrestling in Mongolia? That is hilarious. I love the fact that I know where Mongolia is, so I'm able to see that. Cricket is the most popular in India. Australian football, which is, I believe, kind of like, I believe it's rugby, but then there's a thing for rugby. I'm not exactly sure that. Baseball is sort of Venezuela, Latin America. You guys can see that it has its little area. Basketball, I don't think there is. Is there maybe one of those islands like by Japan? Is that for basketball? I'm not sure. I know basketball is pretty popular in Europe, but obviously soccer is going to be the king. This is kind of the argument here in America where American football is so much more, popular in America than soccer, but worldwide, this is a good representation of just how much more popular soccer or football or whatever you want to call it is than American football. College football champions since 1966 have been dominated by teams south of the 36th parallel. This is a crazy stat. So in the gray, 0 national championships since 1966, and then you can see 13% between the states of Ohio and Michigan, and then 87% of the national championships coming from the South. This year, you've got Alabama and Georgia from the South, and Cincinnati and Michigan from the North. So it'd be cool to see a Northern team win it again. Definitely would, especially Cincinnati, a group of 5 team winning the national championship in the 4-team playoff era would be crazy. But that representation is just ridiculous. Just Ohio and Michigan at 13%. Every other national champion since 1996 is from the South. So pretty crazy to think about. This is just overall NFL fan base representation. Pretty standard stuff. A lot of Dallas Cowboys fans. Holy crap. A lot of Cowboys fans. That's the first thing that stuck out to me. Even in Nevada, there's a lot of Cowboys fans. Any other fan base? New Orleans has, the Saints have a pretty good fan base there. Louisiana, Mississippi. The entire upper Northeast is complete Patriots fans. That's like 6 states. Every single county is a heavy Patriots fan. That's not surprising at all. You've got the Browns. A lot of Steelers fans. Basically, all of West Virginia is Steelers fans, and a lot of Steelers fans in Ohio. I don't know how accurate that is. I mean, you can take a look at the Brown there around Cleveland, around Northeast Ohio, but that's for the middle of Ohio. Is that really accurate? Are there that many Steelers fans in Middle Ohio? 2019 NFL hate map. You're going to see a lot of Patriots. Look at the middle of the country, all Patriot. How about the Eagles? That's because of Cowboys fans. A lot of people hate the Packers. That's not surprising. Normally the teams that are popular and win. How about the South hates the Saints except for Louisiana, who hate the Falcons. Florida, kind of a neutral site area, hates New England the most. And then the West looks like it's the Seahawks. How about Alaska? Alaska hates San Francisco for some odd reason. And Hawaii hates Seattle. So that's interesting. These are all of the Power 5 teams. This is a really interesting thing to look at and where they're all at. You can see just nothing. North Dakota, South Dakota. Really, North Dakota State could easily be an FBS team. They really could. Nothing in Montana. You know, it's interesting. Montana and Montana State were actually really good FCS teams this year. They almost got a college game day, but instead they went to the Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State game, which is so stupid. You go to the FCS schools. It's better for their schools. Nothing in Idaho. I know there's Idaho and Idaho State. They're both FCS though, so it's surprising. Nothing in the wait. This is not. Oh, this is only Power 5. Yeah, this is only Power 5. I was wondering. I was like, where's Nevada? These are all the college football fan bases. Who has the biggest fan base? You can kind of see. It's very interesting to see, Penn State basically own Pennsylvania. Ohio State basically own Ohio. There you can see the Michigan State-Michigan rivalry. Wisconsin is owned by Wisconsin. It's funny how Wisconsin, it looks like, has some fans that live in Minnesota. A decent amount there. That's interesting. Washington, a few fans. Oregon owns the Pacific Northwest there, at least the upper version. How about Fresno State getting a shout out? USC down there, obviously. Arizona State versus Arizona is a fun thing. New Mexico. Look at the state of Texas. Texas Tech, TCU. TCU has like one little slab in Texas. Baylor, A&M, and then Texas basically controls all of it. They're by far the most popular. Although I think the Texas A&M popularity is kind of going up. Looking at the state of Florida, you've got Florida State in the Panhandle, Florida basically controlling most of the state, and then Miami in the southmost area. Not surprising there. Nebraska, looks like all of Nebraska is Nebraska fans. Amazing, folks. Is that a swath of Minnesota in Iowa? Is there just, that's not, there's no way that's correct. Maybe those are Notre Dame fans. I don't know. Notre Dame versus Purdue. Looks like Notre Dame controls most of that state. Auburn versus Alabama is a mess. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. It looks like there's more Mississippi State fans than there is Ole Miss fans. Look at Louisiana. Louisiana and Arkansas are basically just completely controlled by their state. So some interesting stuff there. Highest paid public employee in each state. This is funny. So it's either college football coach or college basketball coach, or I guess other, which would be like a university president or something. But most of these are college football coach, the highest paid public employee. That's hilarious, man. College football is a huge business, ladies and gentlemen. It's a huge business. 2019 NBA hate map. Oh my goodness, it's either the Lakers or the Warriors. So I'm guessing since this is 2019, the Warriors hate has toned down a little bit with KD, going to Brooklyn. Obviously, the state of Ohio has the Warriors. How about the Clippers? People don't like the Clippers. Surprising that. So I'm surprised the Clippers have 3 states. I guess California, everyone likes the Lakers and hates the Clippers. The Rockets randomly getting a few shout outs. What? People hate, maybe because this is from 2019. They were more successful with Harden and stuff. Yeah, now they're terrible. They're in a rebuild right now, but they were. But it's just basically the Lakers. It's the Lakers and the Warriors. That's who people hate, at least in 2019 in the NBA. U.S. most hated college basketball team in each state. I was surprised. There's a lot of Duke. There's going to be a lot of Duke. There's a Creighton shout out there. Going to be a lot of Kansas. Going to be a lot of Kentucky in the SEC. You can almost, make Kansas's whole logo. If you look at it from Texas, Oklahoma, and then you kind of look at the Jayhawk thing, you can almost do that. Ohio State is most hated in Michigan. Michigan is most hated in Ohio State. West Virginia is most hated by Pittsburgh. Kind of interesting. Is that Butler? Is that Butler in New York, I don't even know what that is. Syracuse is most hated up there. Washington is most hated by the state of Washington. You got to be joking me, folks. Come on, that's not. Why is Ohio State randomly hated? Who is that? Is that Wyoming? That just randomly Wyoming randomly hates Ohio State basketball. They're not even that good. Arizona State getting a shout out. Arizona getting a shout out by California. And it looks like, is that San Diego State in New Mexico? I'm not sure what logo that is. What if it was like Maryland or something? I don't know. The worst behaved college football fans. This was recently done like this past week. I think I found this off of Reddit or something. They've got Alabama at number 1 for being arrogant. To be honest with you, they always do win. So I don't understand how Alabama, if there's one fan base in college football that you just can't say anything to, it's really Alabama fans with what their team has won the past decade. So I don't really understand that. And then you got Ohio State and LSU. Yeah, I mean, Ohio State and LSU do have some tough fans, you know. They're popular schools. It is what it is. Tennessee coming in at 4. I think that swayed from that debacle they had versus Ole Miss this year. Florida State, Michigan. I mean, it's just all the popular schools. That's all it's going to be, is all the popular schools that come in there. Wisconsin fans, yeah, get too drunk. That's a funny saying. This is a funny graph, and it just goes to show you with no salary cap in baseball, the teams that underperform, the teams that overperform based on their record. This, I believe, is from 2015, because I remember the Angels did make the playoffs with Mike Trout, and then they got swept by the Royals. But there you can see kind of some of the teams. The Red Sox completely underperforming with a very high payroll that year. Same with the Rangers. Teams overperforming their payroll. The Orioles. The Tigers had a big payroll. They really slashed their payroll recently. The Royals, we know that. And then in the NL, looks like the Phillies had a massive payroll and didn't play. It's just interesting to see with no salary cap in baseball how some of these teams do. This is from like 2015 though. What actually happens in an NFL game? An NFL broadcast minute by minute. Players standing around in between plays 35% of the time, commercials 24% of the time, replays 10% of the time, gameplay. So there's more replay time than there is gameplay time in an average football game. It's pretty crazy to think about that. Shots of the coaches, so when they show the coaches, basically half of the gameplay is shots of the coaches. Referee shots 3.2. You know, that varies in between if there's a lot of flags or not. Halftime, seems like halftime is longer than that. I don't know. Sideline player shots 2.2, on-screen promotions 2%, and then other 5.5%. But guys, did you notice the source of this? Cincinnati Bengals at New England Patriots, October 2014. That was we're on to Cincinnati game, wasn't it? Like, because Cincinnati doesn't go to New England very often. That fits the timeline 2014. I think that was the, Bill Belichick said we're on to Cincinnati. That was the Sunday night game that they took this from. I thought that was funny. I was like, that seriously is that game. That's funny. America's favorite spectator sport over time. Top 3 answers to what is your favorite sport to watch in America. And as you can see, baseball in the 50s and 60s, and then it kind of, lost headway. You can see baseball and basketball right now battling it out for second place. A lot of people would argue, at least on the internet, that basketball has passed baseball. In overall fans, I don't know if that's the case. Definitely on social media, basketball is way more prominent than baseball because baseball has a lot of older fans. But in fans in general, they're two very similar. And it's just interesting. It just depicts just the overall domination by American football in the United States. It's crazy. College football, NFL, it's just dominated. This is a little bit more in-depth graph on your favorite sport. Look at table tennis. Is that China that's obsessed with table tennis? And this one has cricket as Australians' favorite. But in America, there's more detail. Most of the states are American football, but I think that's Missouri that says baseball is their favorite, and also is that Nevada? And then basketball, California, looks like Arizona, so a few states in there that think basketball is their favorite. Ice hockey, obviously with Canada, that doesn't surprise anyone. And then the majority of it is going to be soccer, or football, as they say. Countries that have hosted the Winter Olympics. Now, the only reason I put this on here, I imagine if an African country hosted the Winter Olympics and they'd have to try and make snow in like 80-degree weather. I'd want to see them try and do that. Seriously, that would be hilarious if they tried to like make snow in 80-degree weather and like bring it out and see how fast it would melt. And they tried to do it. I wonder what's the coldest place in Africa where you could possibly host the Winter Olympics. Also, no Winter Olympics in Greenland. The place is literally basically an ice sheet. I guess they just don't have the infrastructure. They can't build it. That's why. It's disappointing. We'd love to see the Winter Olympics in Greenland. The place is literally a glacier. That's all it is a glacier. Most searched between ice hockey and basketball on Google since 2004. So America, not surprising at all, is going to be, although, you know, the NHL is relatively popular, the NBA is far more popular. And it's interesting to see, really, it's just Russia and Canada, the two main ones that that search ice hockey over basketball. There's a lot of basketball that basketball is pretty popular in Europe. I know that. It's pretty popular there. Worldwide traffic excluding the USA. So obviously if you included the USA in here, NFL would be number one by far. But this is not including the United States. The NBA is number one worldwide in traffic because of Europe, then the NHL at number two because of Canada, and then baseball coming in. I mean, there's the NFL, but if you included the USA, NFL would be number one by far, and then the MLB, which is really just, you know, mainly popular in like Venezuela, Latin America, smaller population areas. That's why it would come in last. So that's an interesting depiction. FIFA World Cup versus Super Bowl, most searched worldwide according to Google Trends. Canada, America, Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Iceland searches the Super Bowl more than the World Cup. Amazing. You love seeing it. And then Australia. And then what is that country right next to India? Somebody that knows geography. See, this is why I wish I knew geography so well. Like, what is that country? And then we'll end on this one. Medals earned at the Olympics. So I don't know if this is correct, but it says the United States has over 2,000 medals at the Olympics. And as you can see, the little red color depicts over 1,000. Is the United States the only team with over 1,000 medals and they have over 2,000? Do they own the Olympics? You'd think Russia would be there or something. That surprises me. I don't know if that's correct or not, but second place would be the green, so those countries own 500 to 1,000 Olympics. You'd think Norway just owns the Winter Olympics, don't they? Maybe Sweden too, but like I think that's Norway, right, in the green. I'm not great with geography, folks. Don't kill me, please. Looks like Iceland has 1 to 10 medals. I'm sure they're all for basketball. They beat the NBA. Imagine Iceland has 10 gold medals and it's all for basketball. No, that's all like probably ice skating or something like that. It's winter based, I'm sure. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.